If fitness is not running a very good marathon but still feeling guilty after your holiday and say now it's time to go back and burn all those ice creams.
Yeah.
Why did you overeat those ice creams in the first place? I know so many incidences where an advertising guy was running on the treadmill and he fell and he got a heart attack and he was just 40. Also look at not escaping our uncomfortable emotions. We need to work out lesser, because when we do excessive calorie restriction, your cells go into survival mode.
Yeah. No, and this is what is happening today in this day and age, right? Like a lot of people who are fit, they're getting heart attacks.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
falling down, right?
And that is, sorry to cut you, but that is exactly why we can not only address fitness in isolation.
Yeah.
If you are someone who's a fitness freak running, and I know so many incidences where an advertising guy was running on the treadmill and he fell and he got a heart attack and he was just 40.
Yeah.
That's because his mental and emotional reserves would have been totally probably negative,
Yeah.
which is what caused this. And I don't know if you know about this book called Biology of Belief.
Yep.
Where he talks about the importance of environment and how it's affecting us at a cellular level.
Yeah.
And you can't beat nervous system over muscles.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Yeah, and it's happening to many folks, right? Unfortunately, like they may not be physically, mentally, spiritually ready to work on themselves, and they say, hey, run, right? And I have had experiences where I have had colleagues, friends who just stopped dead. They were the best, fittest people. Right?
Wow. Yeah, that's so, and that's
they ran a full marathon and they've come back and they've collapsed.
Yeah,
right?
so this is where I urge you, if you're reading this, listening to this, or not reading, listening or watching this, let's redefine what is the idea of fitness. If fitness is not running a very good marathon but still feeling guilty after your holiday and say now it's time to go back and burn all those ice creams.
Yeah.
Why did you overeat those ice creams in the first place? Let's look at that, because inflammation is still happening in the body. Your body is still gonna go through a massive shock when you go from a big ass holiday where you've just probably eaten a lot, and then now you're going to starve it or suddenly eat lesser or push it suddenly. So yeah, you're right. And like, this is where we really need to bring in our emotional and mental fitness into our physical fitness. And the good news is, I'm a living example of it. The moment I started working out lesser post 2019, went from 6 days a workout to 4-day workout week, I started sleeping more than I used to. I started eating more than I used to. I dropped about 3 inches on my waist.
Wow.
And still I show people the before after and I tell them what do you think happened? And everyone was like, oh, you started like eating better, you started working out more, you started doing more cardio. I said none of it. Right? I started doing less. So I just want to say, the more we work on our mindset towards fitness and our emotional connect with our body, and also look at not escaping our uncomfortable emotions, we need to work out lesser.
Yeah.
And that means we have more time to learn, more time to do podcasts, more time to spend with our family, travel.
No, I'll just share an incident which happened with me. It's not linked to what you just said, but it kind of baffled me what happened. And I spoke to somebody and that person explained, I was like out for 2.5 months and I was working out, and I say working out basic, like twice a week or thrice a week, walking every day, trying to complete 10,000 steps, eating clean.
It's a myth, by the way, 10,000 steps. But
yeah. So eating clean, staying healthy, right, sleeping well, had built a schedule which is now hurting me when I'm back in India. But all of that, but my weight kind of for the last 3 weeks of my travel, it kind of plateaued.
Okay.
Whatever I did didn't happen. I was coming back home, I was so happy, and then I was at Istanbul airport, I was in the lounge, and then I see baklavas, right? I ate a plate full of baklava.
Wow.
Okay? I was very guilty, like, oh, what have I done? And it was my only meal of the day because I was intermittent fasting. So I said, okay, I'll have good meat, vegetables, and then I said, okay, I'll have a good plate, and that's the only meal. Come back home after a week, it's been a week, and I've been dropping kgs one after the other. I'm like, did that baklava help? Right? So the person told me, like, you were abstaining the body from that emotional connect. Okay.
Yeah, deprivation. Too much deprivation,
right?
Yeah.
And your cells had kind of blocked itself, saying that he's starving us.
Yeah.
He's not. He's going to kill us. So let's go into a closed.
Exactly.
Let's close our closet, right?
Yes.
But when I fed it, it kind of opened up. Aha, treats are in, right?
Yeah.
And then you work out
It
back.
let go, yeah.
Now I don't know. That's my body. I just want to clarify. It may not happen to everybody.
Exactly.
Plate full of baklava, not recommended. But these things, like you said, you're always work in progress.
Yeah.
You can't just say that this is by the book you have to follow, right?
Yes. And in fact, again, in the upcoming book, I've written this chapter which is called Belly Fat's Best Friends. And one of them is excessive calorie restriction, because when we restrict, let's say, for example, like you said, you probably were eating in such a calorie deficit that your body had now needed a surge of calories to be able to break that plateau.
Yes.
And because when we do excessive calorie restriction, your cells go into survival mode. Yeah. What happened? And then in a survival mode, it's not gonna lose any pound of fat, because evolutionary, when you were in a survival mode, means no food, no water, no consistent meat or food, which means the body is going to clamp down. And in your case, it was related to a food related starvation. And like you said, that probably you were in those 2 weeks when you were plateauing, you were probably like getting frustrated with your body, rather than it being, you know what, hey, what do you actually need?
Yeah.
And you probably unconsciously went and ate it anyway, and that sort of helped you. And this is probably you can take away from his story, and I would like to, if you can,
sure.
if I can, which is, instead of talking to your body, you take permission from the body. And whenever you feel frustrated that your body is not supporting you, ask the body, what do you need? Because just the act of giving your body some space, and I know it can sound a little weird when I'm talking body as a separate entity, but the fact is that it is a separate entity.
It is.
And when we start building a relationship with it like your best friends, they will always support you. And that's what happened, right? Like, instead of saying, do this, fit me into that dress, run that 21 kilometer, climb those 100 steps. How about, hey, I would love to fit into that dress. Will you help me? And in fact, there's a really good book called Embodiment, and I would recommend everyone to read it, especially those who are also going through a lot of shyness in expressing their body, in their sexuality, or having trouble being intimate with people, because a lot of people who have poor self-image of their body also feel shy in their own sexual relationships.
Yes.
And that can create such a caged way of, again, look at my body, pinching it everywhere and say, in disgust.
Yeah.
Instead, let's create curiosity. What do you need? And let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And I have this one incident where I woke up, and it was before a social engagement, and I was like, I know I want to move. So I sat down on my bed just after waking up, and I asked him, like, what do you want? And the body literally said, I don't want to run, but I would like to move. And I opened my yoga mat, put on some really good chants, and literally it was 1 hour of meditative yoga and movement. And I came out so refreshed. So it's, again, this is what I meant by tough love. You don't have to go and sleep.
Yep.
But you have to do something that the body also wants.
Yeah.